Okay, hi everyone. I wanted to talk to you briefly today about what was going on in the world. October 4th coming up. You know, a lot of people go, oh, we've had so many important dates and it appears that nothing ever happened on those dates. I can tell you things happen on those dates, but majority of people just don't see what's actually happening. And so I think October 4th will be a date where we may see on a global level something. Now, a lot of people have been speculating that with the emergency broadcast system that they're going to be putting out there on October 4th, it's mainly in the United States, but it could be worldwide. We're not too sure. And is it the white hats or the not so nice ones, the puppet masters, we'll call them? Is it them that are actually running the? So some of you may know me. I'm a psychic. My name is Carrie Kohan, and I remote view. I see lots of stuff. You know, I was involved with the end of the Mayan calendar. A lot of people think that nothing happened then, including I remember watching David Wilcock, and he was like, "Yeah, nothing ever happened at the end of the Mayan calendar." I was like, "Shit." A lot happened, and it was one of the biggest battles I think this planet has ever seen. But majority of people don't know what actually happened. You know, majority of people are in a circle, and you know, the truth workers, the light workers, we stand on the outside and we observe, and we participate in a whole different thing. And in the end, I think that we're going to have great celebrations, and that's our goal, is to change this human experiment. Makes me choke up, because I think that it is a revelation and a revolution. I think that this is our time for change. And we have all agreed to be here at this time, right? Some of us sit at home and wallow in our misery, or or try to distract ourselves and do something different, knowing that something is happening on this planet, but we think that we're not really contributing. Each and every soul that is on this planet has come here with the agreement to contribute energetically to the massive change that is needed here and now. So my belief system is that we have had many different species on this planet from different nations elsewhere. And I may lose some of you now, because some of you will think, oh God, she's lost it. I'm used to that. I've had years of this, right? But I think that we do need to start to really talk about this on a much larger scale, because most people are starting to understand that, yeah, we have one species in particular. Barbara Merciniak talked about this species. She called them the Lizzies, just to make light of the situation. And she was sharing in 1988 in Bringers of the Dawn. I know I've talked about her book many times, and but I think that she was on point, especially with what we're going through right now. Anyways, Bringers of the Dawn was basically, she was channeling informations from the Pleiades. And what was given to her was that 300,000 years ago, humanity was experimented on because there was this is a quick synopsis. There was a war that was many different planets, many different nations, alien nations, had fought over Earth because it was such a prime piece of real estate. It's magical here, right? Because we have free will, because we have the species, the planet, the vegetation, the animals, the water, the elements, the four elements, the energetic vortexes, and put my phone over there, and yeah, it's magical. So anyways, there was a war over Earth. And what came out of it was we were altered humans from 12 strands of DNA to 2 strands. We were dummied down. And I think that every single person that has agreed to come here to the planet at this time, majority of you are light workers. You know it. Some of you hide it with alcohol or drugs because you're so scared of things that you can do or see or sense. Many of you are empaths, so you are feeling all the crap that's going on, and that puts you into overwhelm. So often, stress eating or drugs or alcohol seems to be the crutch, the thing that we go to. I'm here to ask you, we've spent the last 3 years now trying to wake people up. And I think we're past that stage now. If they are still sleeping at this point, let them sleep. But the ones that are awake, we need to unite. We need to actually meet with one another. So I've spent the last 30 minutes recording, and it was such a brilliant, oh my God, the cards that came through, it just flowed. It was such a beautiful message. And I went to play it back, no volume. And this is what they do, right? The technological stuff. It's a warfare. And so I'm re-recording, and hopefully you'll actually get this message. So what do we need to do? The fathers. Fathers, you need to stand up. Protect your families. I will talk briefly about what's happening. Again, I'm just pulling the cards. Mothers, you need to stand up. Protect the families. It's interesting that these two cards came back to back. Mothers and fathers. It's all about family units, isn't it? We need to stand up because we're coming to the end. There is a finish line. We're about to cut that ribbon. And it is time for, the giants, the people who used to be giants, to come to their knees, to kneel, and the rest of us to stand up. Because I think that this is a time of spiritual awakening. We need to become aware of who we truly are and the numbers that we have. We have to make a decision which way we're going to go. Are we going to take one path or the other? And let's talk about this. So one of my really good girlfriends, I love this girl, and she is the silent hero behind the 1 million person march in Canada just recently. None of it, very little of it, hit mainstream media in Canada. Surprise, surprise. The only stuff that they did cover was that fewer numbers, and they made it look like there was more turmoil there than what it was. Actually, it was really peaceful. The only place that they lost was Victoria, of course, where the police couldn't guarantee the safety of those that were standing up and saying, stop sexualizing our children and taking their innocence away. Stop teaching them child pornography, or not child pornography, but pornography in the textbooks, right? What they are being shown in images that are cartoons. And this goes back to Eli Langer. It was a case in 1993, and I've spoken about it extensively. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carrie Kohan. I was a national child advocate in Canada. I was the first to speak up in Canada in 1998 to stand up for children against PEDs. And I ended up amending 14 laws, writing and amending 14 laws. And I never was paid. I didn't want to be in anyone's back pocket. Right? I didn't want anyone saying, Carrie, when you get Ottawa and you sit as a government federal witness and you're in front of the Justice Committee of Canada, remember those, you've seen it, right? Where it's like a horseshoe of all of the justice ministers of Canada, and you have a table in front, and there's usually 4 witnesses there. I was one of those 4 on many occasions. And so a lot of people would tell me, I didn't want to be in anyone's back pocket when I was there. I didn't want anyone saying to me, well, Carrie, you have to say this. So I did it on my own, and it was all spirit-driven and given. I literally felt guided through every time that I went to Ottawa. What I discovered was a lot of politicians there were part of the like carnivores, right? It's a really nasty thing that's happening worldwide, and we need to create a different reaction in this world, not a knee-jerk reaction. We need to be the change, like Gandhi had said, supposedly. We have to choose passive resistance, and that's why I wanted to come and chat with you, because October 4th is a time where a lot of people are talking, saying that it's going to be an activation 5, with a letter, that they're going to activate whatever was put into a lot of people on this planet. And, energetically looking in, okay, the cash system, that's going to be involved with October 4th. I think they're going to try and create everything digital. I think they're going to try to, instead of just, testing the emergency broadcast system, I think they're going to try and activate certain sectors with the 5G. Or did I say that? Hopefully this video will make it out there. This is take 2 after all. They've already tried to silence me. So anyways, I think that October 4th will be something. Now, I happen to know some inside information that something is up. And do you remember no, I can't tell you, actually. Look at that. I heard, no, yeah, I can't talk about it yet. Something's going to happen, guys. It's pretty exciting. So you have to be ready. You got to be ready to stand up, because brighter days are upon us. Brighter days are upon us. The race to the finish line, we're getting so damn close. So you can wallow in your misery and go, look what's happening in the world. It's all shit, right? Or you can actually step into your power and say, I am powerful. I am going to make a difference. I'm going to make a change, right? Hang on to that energy. Be the light worker that you are. I love how I just reach in and the cards speak. It's so exciting. We have to stop them having control over us. Right? Every time we reach up and say we have the power, all of a sudden, the new Magician Act comes in. For instance, our PM in Canada is basically trying to incite a WAR with one of the countries that his plane supposedly broke down in. Did his plane break down in that country? Yes or no? Absolutely not. Did he get interrogated? Yes, absolutely. There were rumors that there were things on the plane. Drugs? Absolutely. Were there children? No. Have there been children on that plane that were being bought and sold, we'll say? Yes or no? Absolutely. That plane is being used. So, we have to change some things here. A lot of things in Canada. I've been looking into the controlled opposition. And I think they are controlled opposition. Years ago, a couple of years ago, I looked into, I want to call him Paul Poilievre, the leader of the Conservatives. And I keep thinking, why do I want to call him Paul? And it was because he was adopted. I think that his name is actually Paul Poilievre, or maybe a different last name. But he's now Pierre. And a couple of years ago, I got that, no, he was actually a good guy. About 2 years ago, maybe, year and a half ago, I got, nope, not anymore. So, my question when I was doing the video just a few minutes ago, I asked, was he influenced? Did someone get to him? Was he influenced? Because I think he was brought up in the WF, W with another letter, F, organization. And he was groomed with them as a young person. Apparently that is the rumor. And is it just a rumor? No. Was he part of the organization? Absolutely. When I say absolutely, I see about 70%, 80%. So I think he had apprehensions as a young person, but I think he got away from them. And then when he got into position, he was influenced to get into that position. So is he still the same person? Absolutely not. Is he controlled opposition? It's about 70%. So is he like a double agent? Yeah, that's what I see. Anyways, I don't think any of them in Ottawa are good, or any of the politicians not involved. Or a better question. Are all the politicians in Ottawa involved with the WF? Yes or no? Is there one that isn't involved? No. Some are to varying degrees, but I think all of them have been influenced one way or another. And the ones that weren't able to be influenced somehow were either early retirement or left, right? So that leaves the question, what do we do? If we're voting in another party member, it's just the same old, same old. What do? We have to pull the string. We have to untie the, the binds that tie us up and set ourselves free. It's time for us to fly free. How do we fly free? Well, I've been saying for a long time, we have to have sit-ins, and we have to sing. We have to bring back the music to our demonstrations, our protests, and we have to sit down. You don't stand up at protests, you sit. And if the police want to move you, they have to physically pick you up. And if they're going to arrest you, it takes 4 of them. Their arms tire pretty darn quick, and they won't want to do that job anymore. You never walk with them to get arrested. Why would you do that? No, you sit down. It's called a sit-in. And you protect your home, right? Not with violence, just passive resistance. And that's what you do. In the end, we all celebrate. It's like a birthday party, right? We celebrate. So how do we celebrate? How do we come to that? Passive resistance. Gandhi had it right, if that was actually real, all of that. But I think it works, right? And that's where we need to move into. We need to have a breakthrough, and we have to break down the walls of control. And how do we do that? We march. It's pretty simple, because the way that we're going right now is a dead end, and Judgment Day is upon us. It's here. It's upon us. We have to... It's like, this is a terrible image, but it's like you have to cut the hand that feeds you. You have to stop that dependency. And we have to change the educational system. Really quick, I know why my last video was censored electronically. I'm being watched, I know that. I have been for years. And lately I've been feeling a real threat. I've been working a lot with Greg Hallett, who is the would-be king. He's the rightful heir. Is Greg Hallett the rightful heir to the crown of England, yes or no? Absolutely. I get a strong yes with that. And it's funny, I've been working with Greg for a while, and so many people have poo-pooed him, so many people have tried to discredit him. And it was only recently that I finally muscle tested and went, wait a minute, is he the rightful heir to the royal crown in England? The royal, is he an actual family royal bloodline? Yes or no? Absolutely. And I got a yes. So there you go. Anyways, I've been working with him. We've had a lot of technical problems. I've been feeling that feeling again that I'm being followed. I've had the feelings that I really have to protect myself. And I can tell you that I'm not suicidal. Don't have any... I'm strong. I know that I'm protected. And I've been a bit of a shit kicker in Canada. I've helped to write and amend 14 laws to protect children. And I think it's interesting that, I spent how many years raising the age of consent, fought so hard for that. And I say that I did it because without ego, right? I mean, I never got paid for any of that work. I didn't want to be in the back pocket of anyone. No one could control me. I wanted to be the voice of children. I wasn't a lawyer. I wasn't on anyone's payroll. It was simply about the kids. But majority of the laws that I was able to help implement and write all started with me going, okay, what's the next law I want to focus on? And I would put it out there. I'd meet with Ralph Klein. Ralph Klein helped me a lot. He was a premier of Alberta. And he was the one that actually helped bring the sex offender registry in, because Lawrence Macaulay at the time was the justice minister, and what a joke that one was. He didn't want the sex offender registry, so I went to Ralph Klein, and Ralph Klein was able to bring it to the Premier's Conference, and then from there we were able to bring it into Alberta. We got the Alberta Sex Offender Registry, and then from there we brought it across the country. That took many years. What happens with raising the age of consent? That took me probably, 6, 7 years. And I was able to raise the age of consent from 14 to 16. It involved a lot of organizations, a lot of witnesses were heard. It was a big thing, but I fought very hard for that one. And we were successful, finally. We put so much pressure on the Liberal government that they actually had to cave. As soon as Trudeau came in, what did he do? He arbitrarily, by himself, without any input, he lowered the age of consent back to 14, very quietly, and the media never covered it. And now our age of consent is back to 14. Why did he do that? Majority of people know now that Justin Trudeau, he was in trouble as a drama teacher in Point Grey, private school in Vancouver, where he was with a 14-year-old girl and had a relationship with her. Had to pay her $2.5 million out to her and her family. That's all come out. It's Wayback Machine. You go back and you can see it. It's still there. So it would be in his interest to lower the age of consent back to 14, because technically he could be tried for pedophilia because she was 14 at the time. And so it's in his best interest to lower the age of consent to 14, because otherwise he would technically be able to be charged and put on a sex offender registry. Our Prime Minister in Canada should be on a sex offender registry for what he did. The fact that he had to pay $2.5 million out, and I believe the Liberal Party was part of this, right, in the paying out, that should all be a really big red flag for Canadians, that our PM shouldn't be in office, period. Then we look at the opposition leaders. Are they controlled opposition? Are there any politicians that are actually not in the W back pocket? W-E, with the other letter? Are they any politicians in Canada that are not influenced by that organization? I don't think so. I think they're all. So we need to create a change, and that change is coming, and that's really exciting. So we've got to stop hiding. We've got to stop, depending on other people. We have to start writing. You got to start writing letters. You got to start putting pressure. You got to, how many of us have actually talked to the media? How many of you have phoned in to the assignment desk of the news department and said, what you're doing is criminal? How many of you actually stood up and marched? That's where we're going. And I think October 4th is not just going to be, activation of something very sinister. It made me burp. It's a release. I think that October 4th is going to be the start of something extraordinary. So be prepared and be ready to march if you need to at a moment's notice. Okay? My silent hero girlfriend, she was behind the truckers movement. She organized it. Virtually no one knows her. I do. She was the one that organized the 1 million person march in Canada. I think she is an unsung hero in Canada. We see Tamara being a figurehead and Chris Barber as well. I think stuff will come out there. You'll see a lot of information over time. I'll stay quiet about that. So much is all a puppet show. And we need to stand up. You need to question everything. What appears to be good guys doing something, you need to question it. And you need to show up and be part of the change. Our silence is our acceptance. That is a slogan that came through in 1998. I downloaded that one. I was thinking, what do I say about the pedophilia? Well, our silence is our acceptance. All those children. And it's become an epidemic. So what are you doing today to stop that epidemic? Do you remember the TV show Ants? Or the movie Ants? Do you remember that scene where the general was like, well, I hope that they don't understand that they have way more power than we do. If they ever figure it out and become united, they can move mountains. They can turn up the earth. And that's who we are. We're ants. We're sheep that have been asleep for far too long, but who wins in the end? It has been a race. It's been a race where we've been silenced, we've been censored, but in the end, we are building bridges to one another. The lightworkers will unite, and we will create heaven here on earth. I keep going back to Barbara Marciniak's Bringers of the Dawn. She wrote it in 1988, I think it was, where she channeled people of the Pleiades. Species. Aliens. No, not aliens. I never liked the name aliens. What the... I hope you're still there. See, I bring up Barbara Marciniak. That has never happened. My whole system went down. Wow. Okay, we'll save Barbara for another day. I need to get this out. So October 4th, be prepared. I think that we need to march. I think we need to have sit-ins. We need to sing. We need to bring joy into... remember the 60s? My God, we knew how to do it. And I was a kid, right? But my brother was 10 years older, so I have memories of the 60s where he was 16 and he was an advocate for change. And so I saw all of that. I remember it well. And that was a test run for what we're going through now. We have to remember the power that we have. Sit down. And by sitting down, you're actually standing up. What was it? Stand up by sitting down. That's what we need to do. Stand up by sitting down. Have a sit-in. Sing. Bring your guitars. Bring the kids. Have a picnic. Enjoy yourself, right? You're not being violent when you're sitting down. And that's it. Okay? So, join in on the sit-ins. Stand up by sitting down.